Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. If you're not familiar with the name Dr. Jean Augustine, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, you should be. And you're in luck because there's a fabulous film recounting her incredible life story. She is a trailblazing politician, a social activist, and educator, and she joins us here on the show today. Dr. Augustine, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And let's go back to, what we might as well go back to the start and your humble beginnings. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your beginnings.
Well, first of all, Derek, I want to express condolence to the family of the Honorable Claudette Bradshaw, who, again, with Mr. Melnick, has transitioned, as it were.
Yeah.
And Claudette was a partner, she was a collaborator, she was a mentor, she was a colleague who worked so hard in the Parliament of Canada during the time I was there for the disadvantaged and bringing to the table always the concerns of the disadvantaged. Social justice issues was at the bottom of what she was about. And I think to begin my own story, it's important for me to talk about the environment that I grew up in Happy Hill, St. George's, Grenada. And Derek, if you don't know, Grenada is one of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean.
Nice.
And I urge everyone to visit. It's an Isle of Spice, and it's when I was growing up, children were at the center of all activities. They were loved, they were nurtured, they were encouraged. Education was the bottom line for every family. Get a good education, because as my grandmother used to say, education would raise the family's nose. And so I got every opportunity to go to school, as it were, and to make my way through a very colonial education system at the time.
Well,
I came to Canada with a sense of self. My teachers were Black, the policemen were Black, the authorities were Black, and so it was quite a difference for me when I came into Canadian society to realize that all the things that there were that spoke to justice and fairness and equity and equality for all people were just not part of the system. And so I started my first few days in Canada trying to find groups, organizations, and people who were working in the area of social justice, and kind of attach myself. I did quite a bit, but I never did it on my own. It was
Right.
always with others.
So what
Me.
eventually brought you into politics? Of course, back in it was 1993, I believe, you became the first African Canadian voted into the House of Commons. But what were your beginnings in politics? Why did you decide to get into politics?
Because I'd had a whole lifetime of as an educator, as a school teacher, working in neighborhoods where we needed to encourage parents to get engaged and involved. I had been one appointed to several different boards, corporate boards at the time, Hospital for Sick Children, York University, and others in the area of Toronto. And then later on, was appointed to the Status of Women Canada. And I saw what was happening as far as the society's response to the needs of people. And when I was appointed and became the head of Metro Toronto Housing Authority, with thousands of people living in rent geared to income, with generations that go through a process where they did not see a way and a break out of
Right.
that social situation. And when I was asked to run, and everyone said, you should run, you should run. But I saw no one. I saw no Black woman who had a place as a candidate or was in the House of Commons. I knew some people who had run, like Rosemary Brown,
Right.
who had gone for that leadership, was provincial MLA, and there were people in Toronto. But I saw no signs that there was a mentor, there was a place for Black women in the Parliament of Canada. And so when I was pushed and being pushed and nudged and encouraged and coaxed, uh, I took the opportunity to let myself be part of what would be the first African Canadian woman to run, to be elected, and to find myself in the Parliament of Canada.
Dr. Augustine, you know, your many accomplishments would take up the entire half hour, if not longer, of this show. Thank you so much for joining. I just want to mention to everybody the red carpet premiere of The Story of Dr. Augustine is happening in Toronto. The movie is called STEADFAST, The Messenger and the Message. We're hoping to get it here in Ottawa soon as well. We'll be right back after this.